There are clearly good movies and clearly bad movies. But sometimes we do nothing about global warming, the world floods, then we have to deal with the insane heat and excruciating humidity to figure out what is everything in the middle. This is a very hot edition of Good Bad, Bad Good.
Looking real good, yeah. There. All done. Now, there may be some small problem in depth perception.
Well, it better not screw up my short game.
Gills.
Hey everyone, you might be very confused by my intro. Actually, maybe not, because it's kind of fitting for like WATERWORLD, I guess.
I thought that's what you were doing.
Yeah. No, I'm going off of how hot it is right now.
When this episode airs, it will not, or it might be, because
that's what I was
fire
gonna say, they're gonna be
season
very
in Los
confused.
Angeles is September and October.
Well, no, this is airing in December. So everyone listening to this right now might
be very confused.
thinking that we're crazy.
Yeah.
Because it's not hot outside right now. Maybe it's snowing outside.
The heat kind of fits with WATERWORLD, though, because that's what melted the polar ice caps, you know.
Correct.
Global warming. So that kind of tracks.
It's where we will be.
We technically don't know that, right?
Well, okay. We also don't know if it's humid, but we do know that they don't have chapstick there, though.
We do know that. That is correct. That is a fact.
Anyway, yes, that is why this might actually sound different. Kai and I are in Los Angeles right now, and it is the middle of a extreme heat wave in September. Sorry to burst your bubble if you thought we record these each week. We do not.
Or if you thought we recorded them live.
That as well, which if you did, you might need to figure out how podcasts work. But anyway, this might sound different because Kai and I have the AC just on full blast. And we usually don't, which is why you usually hear Kai complain about how hot it is. But today is just so hot that we would probably die. Our computers would overheat if we all the above.
My face would melt.
Listen, I want you guys to know that if you guys were to die, I would continue the podcast in your honor.
Oh,
Even the
thanks,
episode. We would die
Brian.
mid-episode and Brian would just carry on the episode.
Ooh,
I would just keep talking to myself.
I've had on-screen deaths, but I've never had on-voice deaths.
On-screen
radio
deaths, you mean in terms of performance?
Yes.
Not the actual deaths that we're talking about.
No, like, when you get to die on a stage or on a screen. But I've never done it just vocally. If, like, all of a sudden I was like, yeah, I'm
How would it go if you did? How would it
And
go
then-
if you were to die right now?
I just did it. I'm melting.
Oh, that's a weird way to die.
Yeah, she would become the Wicked Witch of the West.
Or I would turn into, what was that show? The girl who could, Alex Mack. I would
Oh,
just
fuck
melt into
yeah.
a puddle and slide under your floor.
Was
and
she the silver puddle?
She was the silver puddle, yes.
I used to love that show.
Me too.
I think I
Yeah.
saw it once or twice.
I'm either having a deja vu or we've had this exact conversation
We have.
before.
I'm pretty sure we've brought this show up before.
Great.
I think though it is in one of the lost episodes. I don't think it's in one
When
that
he
has
says
come.
lost episodes,
Yes.
he means terrible episodes that we're not putting out to the public.
Well, no, some were audio issues.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. Anyway, this is Good, Bad, Bad, Good. And my name is Travis Horosco, and I am a director and producer. With me, as always, is...
Tylena Mai, and I'm an actor and a writer.
And...
Brian Ossip, and I'm just a swell human being. Oh, and a video editor.
I like that, though.
Thank you.
are a pretty swell
Thanks.
human being.
I'll take
I don't
it.
know
Most of the
about
time,
Travis, but you're all right, Brian.
No, Travis is okay in my book.
All day today, Brian and I have been
all day
texting.
today? Just today? The listeners out there don't even know what I go through on a daily basis with you two, other than maybe Jen Star, who I vent all of this to. Shout out Jen Star. She's hopefully making this sound a lot better than it is right now with the AC.
Yeah.
But if you couldn't tell from our banter and also the video clips, today we are doing, audio clips, movie clips. We are
clips
doing.
of Waterworld, the film from 1995.
Did it really come out in 1995?
Yes, sir, it did.
Oh my gosh.
It
I was
did.
going to say, I did not look up anything about this movie because I just care that little about
I
it.
looked up all the things because I love it so much. I love this movie so
Yeah.
much.
Perfect.
So much.
Perfect. I did want to point out, since we did bring up the lost episodes, Waterworld was actually one of the lost episodes.
I think it was our first, wasn't it?
No.
Like the first episode we ever even tried to do.
No, I think our first was Jeepers Creepers, no?
Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay.
No, but I love that movie too.
God, that movie sucked.
So that first attempt we got, Brian forgot to hit record.
Is that what happened? Oh, yeah, shit.
And then the second one was Waterworld. And for that one, we were also very hot. That's kind of a theme here. So we had the fans on us. It's funny that both times that we have tried to attempt Waterworld, it's so hot that we have to have the AC and fans on.
It's irony.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kevin Costner knew the future.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was the only
But before
one.
we dive into the movie and dissect it through its multiple parts that we usually do, we shall get a plot synopsis from Google. Hey, Google, what's the plot synopsis of Waterworld?
Here's the synopsis of Waterworld. After the melting of the polar ice caps, most of the globe is underwater. Some humans have survived, and even fewer still, notably the mariner, Kevin Costner, have adapted to the ocean by developing gills. A loner by nature, the mariner reluctantly befriends Helen, Jean Triplehorn, and her young companion, Enola, Tina Majorino, as they escape from a hostile artificial island. Soon the sinister smokers are pursuing them in the belief that Enola holds the key to finding the mythical dryland.
So I wanted to start this first the first category. Oh wait, we need
Yeah,
verdicts. We need
verdicts,
verdicts.
bro.
I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry.
He's
It's too
just
hot. I
jumping
can't
in
think.
because he wants to attack this movie with a wrath. But I think it's outside issues. Travis, I think there's things going on in your life, and you're bringing it into our Waterworld episode. You're like, yeah, actually, yes.
As of September, my birthday is approaching and my life is crumbling. So
Okay.
What are you
if
going to
you're
be,
hearing
like
this in
17?
December, I hope I'm doing fine.
You going to be 17?
I wish.
You wish?
No,
Is that
I
your
don't
like
wish.
ideal age to go back to? Because mine is definitely not
No.
17.
I do feel like 17. So 17 is when I started college. So it's like a lot of the things that I think back on what I would do differently usually pertain to college. Like I would study something differently, or I would like do. It's usually career based. It's not ever like life based, because I'm completely fine with like life. Anyways, I digress. Verdicts. Kai, what do you think?
I think this
Waterworld
is a good movie. No, I think this is a good bad movie.
Awesome, Brian.
Yeah, I begrudgingly am calling this a good, bad movie. This was real close for me just calling this a bad movie, though.
Cool.
Brian,
Okay.
This is
shut your face.
This is by far one of the worst movies I have ever seen in my entire life. Top 5 of worst movies. And the fact that we have had to endure this twice in the span of 14 months has me contemplating whether we should even continue doing this podcast and whether I still want to be a filmmaker. But I think this is a bad, good movie.
That was very intense.
Yeah.
That's how this movie makes me feel. I did want to bring up, though, there are 2 cuts of this movie. And I did not know that until last night. Because I was looking at and we were texting, and I'm curious to know what cuts you 2 saw. So when I looked up the movie and we were talking about it in the text thread, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so long. And then Brian is like, this is so long. The running time on IMDb and like when you Google it and all that, it's 2 hours, 56 minutes. The version I rented, which is actually the theatrical version that came out in theaters,
like
is
2
2
and
hours
7.
and 15
That's what I watched.
minutes.
Okay, yeah. That's what I watched.
Okay, so we all saw the same version.
I think that's the only one you can actually rent. I thought you were joking when you sent the text that was like, this movie is 3 hours
No,
long.
watch. Like, Google it right now on your phone. It says 2 hours, 56 minutes, even on IMDb.
Huh.
Yeah, no, I was reading about it. There was a director's cut, and then there was some sort of like fan cut that somehow ended up getting sanctioned and putting on like the extras of the Blu-ray DVD or something like that.
Oh, interesting. Do you know what the
Yeah.
fan cut entailed?
Hold on, I'll see if I can find it again.
It's not just an hour's worth of credits. at the end? Because it could have been with the amount of extras that were probably cast in this movie.
I would just, if I did my own fan edit, it would just be an acting reel of Dennis Hopper.
Yes.
That's it.
There right there is why this cannot be your top 5 bad movies.
100% is.
I'm going to read this real quick. I'll cut out some lines, but the preferred 3-hour cut of director Kevin Reynolds was drastically edited back to the 135-minute theatrical version. The original version, ABC later broadcast an extended TV version that restored almost 40 minutes of deleted scenes, which explained more about the world, the people who live there, the smokers' religious beliefs, and their ability to refine crude oil. Also tie up several loose ends. Being a TV special, the version was also censored for violence and language, and then a fan edit of the film called Waterworld, the Ulysses Cut, was later made in an attempt to create the most complete version of the movie, compiled from several broadcast versions. And in an unexpected turn, the original distributor officially sanctioned this fan edit by releasing it in a box set with the 2 other versions. This Ulysses Cut was remastered in high def, created with original footage rather than the lower quality broadcast material.
Ooh, I want to see it. I want to see it so bad because my whole thing is, where do these smokers get oil the whole time? And cigarettes.
Yeah, and this is one of those rare cases where I actually would say that a long as fuck movie could actually in some ways benefit from being longer because you could use some more explanation on some different parts. It would be hard to watch. Don't get me wrong. 2 hours and 15 minutes felt longer than that when I watched it last night.
Just split it up for a couple days and pretend you're watching an episodic.
I stopped it and looked at it at like 45 minutes. And I'm like, we have to at least be an hour and a half into this. And I still had like an hour 15, hour 30. And that's when I started to realize like, wait, it's 2:15. Why is it 2:15? But I thought it was 2 hours and 56 minutes. And I was doing all this Googling mid-movie because, it's this movie. So, like, why not?
My eyes were glued to the set, and I paid attention to every last word. I'm ready to talk about this script.
Go for it, Kyle.
Okay. Let me start by just saying the reason why this movie should just be a good movie and not even on this podcast is for these Dennis Hopper lines. I'll be damned. It's the gentleman guppy. He's like the turd that won't flush.
Yeah, that was funny.
That's number 1. Also, the fact that he has, well, I guess that's acting, but the fact that he has this like kind of white trash Southern accent. And you're like, oh, did that last hundreds of years after the flood?
Apparently.
And then another, well, don't just stand there. Kill something. So good. Or he can see what's left of you in a goddamn jar. That's when he's talking to the kid. He just, so many lines that like, they're just wonderful.
Yeah. I mean, it's really great to know that your standard for movies is just one-liners.
Yeah.
That's great to know. Should have known that at the beginning of the season, not the end.
Or like when you asked me to do this podcast at all.
During our interview, I should have asked you, like,
Did you interview me for this? Is that what happened?
We had a phone
Actually,
interview.
we did have a phone interview.
Yeah, I know.
Travis called me from New York to do when he was still living there.
Since we're talking about Dennis Hopper quotes, I'm sure you probably have one too, Brian. But my favorite quote from him is when the Kevin Costner, when he like
the mariner
harpoons the boat and then pulls it, and the guy's still shooting, and like the bullets are shooting all the way across, and they're trying to get the shooter's attention, so they're like calling at him.
The
and
Charles.
Like, Chuck,
Yes!
Chuck. And then Dennis Hopper says, maybe he doesn't respond to Chuck. Call him Charles.
Yeah, I wrote it down too.
That was funny.
It's so good. But I don't even think he says maybe. He says he doesn't respond to Chuck. Call him Charles.
Oh, okay. I will say that was the only joy I had in this entire 2 hours and 15 minutes.
I wrote down the pig shooter because he's wearing that
Yeah.
bizarre like goggle mask with
Yep.
the pig nose. It's
Yeah.
great.
So if you're going to base everything off of the one-liners, and that's why the script is good, I'm actually going to talk about, like what happens. And
Okay.
the fact that this
snobbers
script
and-
is so tonally lost It has no idea what kind of movie it wants to be. It doesn't know if it wants to be a kid's adventure movie. It doesn't know if it wants to be this PG-13 solid like Indiana Jones adventure movie. It doesn't know if it wants to be this like political commentary on
It
like
was
environmental.
going for an Oscar though, which is
Yeah, I know. And also, I was
is insane
thinking
to me.
we might have just blown up our whole season with this movie because our trailer for the season was we're not going to do Razzie winning movies. And then we're doing a damn Razzie winning
Did this
movie.
win a Razzie?
I'm sure it did. I don't even got to look it up. I'm pretty sure it did.
No. This movie did not win a Razzie. This movie became a staple in Hollywood, and you can still
Yeah.
go see the show at Universal Studios.
A staple that you should never do this type of movie ever again.
This movie was nominated for 4 Razzies.
Thank you.
Worst supporting actor, Dennis Hopper, and he won. Worst picture, nominated. Worst actor for Kevin Costner, just nominated. And worst director for Kevin Reynolds with a little bit of assistance from Kevin Costner. So this was nominated for 4 Razzies, and it won one. It also was nominated for 2 Stinker Awards, which I've never even heard of.
I don't even know what a stinker word is.
They don't have those anymore.
Wait, are you telling me the only reason that this movie is on the podcast is because I'm a big nerd fan about it?
No, Brian's the one that offered it up. Remember?
Okay, yeah.
That's true. It was my suggestion.
But then you sat here and said this is maybe a bad movie, Brian.
So here's the thing. I've seen this movie a bunch over the years, and when we watched it for the Lost episode last year, I was fairly convinced that this was a good bad movie. Watching this last night was the first time that I've watched it where I was just bored out of my fucking mind. And maybe it's because we just watched it recently, and this is a movie that I shouldn't watch more than like every 5 to 10 years or something like that. But I did not enjoy it very much when I watched it last night. So like I said, begrudgingly saying good, bad, because I'm just going to stick to my past feelings about it. Cause maybe it's cause I've seen it more recently. Maybe I just wasn't in the mood last night. I don't know, but I've always kind of thought this was a good, bad movie since the time it came out.
Yeah, I will say the only reason, or not the only, but the reason why I'm like obsessed with this movie is just because as a child, seeing the little girl be like such a badass in this movie and being like her same age when this movie came out, because I was born in '88, so I was like 7 years old when this movie came out. It was like my first, like I could look up to this little girl. She was a hero and she was cool and she would say things to all the bad guys and
Just
stand
watch
up
E.T.
for herself.
E.T. had a really good little girl in it.
Yeah, but it was more about the little boy and everything was about the little boy.
True.
It was always about the little boy.
True.
This was like she was a tough little cookie.
Yeah, this
you know?
this movie's totally about the little girl.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
it's not.
She is
but-
a tough little cookie. Some of the lines I just found kind of annoying when she was like, she said she apologized. That means you have to say something back. I was like, shut up, kid. You don't know how adulthood works. But I do love that she grew up to be Deb in Napoleon Dynamite, though.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
was in all the.
Oh.
She did a bunch of movies when she was a kid too. Like,
Oh, yeah.
she did Monkey Trouble and Karina, and I don't know. She was like a big childhood actor.
So
And then
back
Deb.
to script and plot.
Yeah.
Yep. Sorry.
I think the general idea of the movie, especially I feel like in today's day and age where global warming and everything is like a much more hot button topic and it's much more prevalently talked about. But the idea of like the polar ice caps melting and people having to live in a world that's almost entirely water is kind of interesting. You know, I feel like especially in 1995, people weren't really talking about global warming that much. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of like Trav said, like sometimes it feels like it's trying to be a campy, like on purpose campy movie. Sometimes there are some scenes where it's like trying to be like a serious drama, and then it's like the popcorn action movie. So it's kind of all over the place.
I would be curious to see like what the full script is, especially if there was a 3-hour cut at some point or a world in which they explained more of all of it.
I could not care less to see another cut because I think it's all script based. You could throw as much scenes as you want in there, but you still have a movie where there's a scene about essentially selling a woman into like a sex trade, like into prostitution, coupled with a guy running around yelling like, "Put your eye on it," and then like he pulls his eye out. Like that's all script stuff. That has nothing to do with.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's what I was saying. I'm just curious to know what the full script looked like then. If the full script was like 800 pages, or
I will say, like, I would
like.
love to watch a cut that includes the extra scene that provides a little bit more information and detail, but that cuts out like there's a few, like most of the movie is just Dennis Hopper's character Deacon trying to capture the girl and the mariner and the whole thing, like, but it's like 15 different attempts to capture him or to trick him. Like you could cut out 4 or 5 of those and probably cut out an hour of the movie and then maybe put in the information that actually helps explain shit.
Totally.
You could also just kill him. Like you could just kill the mariner and have the kid. And
No,
easily.
you can't. He's way too cool and way too talented to die.
No, just based on what you were saying, the very ending when Dennis Hopper is like chasing after them he's climbed the rope and both the mariner and the little girl have gotten up into the float. And then Dennis Hopper's character gets onto a ski-doo. I did this last time. A sea-doo. Yeah. I always want to call it a ski-doo. A jet ski. Thank you. Yeah. I like ski-doo. I'm just combining jet ski and sea-doo. Ski-doo.
There you go.
No, you're combining skis and sea-doo.
No, a jet ski and a sea-doo.
Oh, that's your thought process.
I think that's where I got it. But yeah, when they're like when he's going to get the girl, he shoots and the girl falls back into the water. It's like a whole added 10-minute scene where it's like, wait, she was just in the water and they save her the same way, the exact same way. It's like, why did we need that at all added in there? Do you know what I'm saying?
We didn't. That's the answer. We didn't.
There's a lot.
We did not need this movie. Let's be real. I do think we are doing a poor job of actually talking about what happens in the movie.
Oh, yeah,
and
I also feel like this movie is so
Yeah.
old that do we really need to describe the actual step-by-steps of the plot? Who hasn't seen or know about this movie at this point?
So I asked my wife, like, have you seen this movie? And she's like, yeah, I've been to Universal Studios and like saw the I don't even know what to call it, attraction. Yeah. That's there. And I'm like,
show.
Okay, but have you seen the movie? She's like, yeah, I just said I went to Universal Studios. And I'm like, that's not the movie. And like up until, so this is my second time seeing it now. Last time was my first time. Because my mom is a good mom and kept me away from this movie. And then the second
She just let you watch like horror movie after horror movie after horror movie.
Yeah, and look at the person that I turned out.
Exactly.
Imagine if I had watched Waterworld when I was little. Oh my gosh.
You'd have a bigger
Be a serial killer
imagination
or
and your
something.
career would have skyrocketed.
Yep. Yeah, you could have been like Kevin Costner, bro.
Yeah, dude, bro.
Anyway, what I'm saying is that I wonder how many people actually haven't seen the movie and just their only knowledge of Waterworld is from Universal Studios.
No, if people haven't seen this movie, I can't associate with them.
You associated with me for like 4 out of the 5 years that we've known each other.
I didn't know.
If
I had known,
stopped talking to you immediately.
I never would have talked to you again after we stopped working together.
Okay, wait. Did Dov watch this before starting to date you?
Yeah, she'd seen this before, and then she watched it with me last year
Are you
when we
sure?
watched it.
Okay.
She likes this movie too.
Anyway, well, I just wanted to point out that the main objective of this whole film, I guess, is the little girl that Kai loves. She has a tattoo on her back of like where dry land is supposed to be, and that's what they're all trying to kidnap the kid so that they could read this map and find out where dry land is. And they refuse, with all of their might, they refuse to just draw.
Yeah, that
whatever's
thought
on her
crossed
back
my mind
or
Yeah, with
paint
the
it.
exception of the mariner. He's the only one that does not have interest in this little girl because of the map on her back, because he has, quote unquote, seen dry land, but it's under the water because he has gills. He's a, what do they call him? Well, they say he doesn't have a kind.
Or
Muto.
Yeah.
They call him Muto. I love all the nicknames for things. Hydro with the freshwater, which is like crack for them.
Yeah.
Muto. I guess maybe it's all.
I feel like those are the only two.
No, there's a couple other ones.
They call dirt.
It's true. She calls the Helen, is that her name in the character? Jean
Tripporn.
Yeah. Is her name Helen in it?
I have no idea.
Yeah, it's Helen.
Yeah. She calls the mirror that he pulls out, which is like a car mirror. She calls it a
Reflecting glass.
reflective
or something?
glass. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I was like, how do you know those words too? Like,
Yeah, how do you
there's
know
just
what glass
questions
is?
all. Yeah, right. There's questions all around with like, what?
Yeah, because I guess books don't even exist anymore.
No, because paper is such a like crazy thing for them to find. He's got those National Geographics that he finds later, which is how he realizes that dry land is real, because the kid has been drawing pictures of what she saw when she was a kid.
Which she was a baby when she was put in the basket. So
Babies can remember things.
Memories stick with you, dog.
There's just a ton of holes.
Yeah.
There's holes all over the place. It's not a great movie. I just love it.
No,
anyways.
it's a good
Whoa. Big admission.
No, the biggest plot faux pas for me is the moment where the smokers come and find the mariner, the little girl, and her like pseudo mom on the boat. They shoot Kevin Costner with something.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dennis
In, like, the
Hopper's
chest
character,
or, like rib
yeah,
or something.
shoots him
Yeah.
on the side,
Yeah,
and
I
then
have
he's
some
like,
thoughts on
and then
that,
he's like,
too.
I got him. But then they like disappear. They don't attack him after that. They don't go after him. They like.
Isn't that when they jump into the
No,
water?
they go after him with the jet skis, I thought. The guy's underwater.
No. This is that. So they do the first attack. That doesn't work because Kevin Costner like smacks the guys with parts of his boat or whatever, gets out of it somehow.
Oh,
Then
right.
Dennis Hopper is like, if you need a job well done, you got to do it yourself or whatever. He pulls out some sort of hook gun thing, shoots it at Kevin Costner, slices him across the side. Kevin Costner's laying there bleeding. And then the smokers like drift away or something, because the next thing we know, the three of them are just in the boat and Kevin Costner's like dealing with his bloody patch. And then the Helen comes over to the mariner and she's like, why did you do that? I don't know. She's yelling at him about something. And that's when they have the conversation where she's like, you said you'd take us to dry land. And he's like, there is no such thing. And then she's like, what? And he's like, you want to see dry land? I'll show you. So then he puts her in her bubble, or in his bubble, and he takes her down under the water to show her the dry land. But like literally the smokers had just attacked the boat, just shot Kevin Costner. They knew that the smokers were attacking the boat because they were looking for the girl, and they leave the little girl just on the boat by herself to die.
Yeah.
Like, it makes no sense.
I think I'm blending all of the attempts, kind of like how Brian was talking about how there's like 5 or 6 attempts.
Right.
Yeah.
I think I'm blending them all together. I thought he got shot and then he jumps in the water with her. And then he's like, I'll breathe for you. And then they like
No,
shoot
that
it.
happens
No. That's a
after
separate
they
time?
come back up. And the little girl is
Yeah.
hiding under the boat. And Dennis Hopper has gotten onto his boat and is like, you two tell me where the girl is, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, and then he
they
shoots
blow
him
up his
there. Yeah.
boat. Yeah.
Oh.
My bigger issue was he gets shot. He's laying down. There's blood dripping
Yeah.
down the side of the boat. Like, it looks like a legit wound. And then all of a sudden he's just swimming. Like, he's basically just fine.
You know,
he heals
have
them.
you ever seen fish when they get hurt? They heal right away.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's true. I've never seen a fish get shot. So I don't know.
Maybe I was about to say
You do
maybe
know I
he
was
has
joking,
a healing.
right? Fish don't just heal right. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. You guys both
Yes, I
acted
know.
so calmly
Yeah.
to that. I was like, wait, do you guys?
No, it's called improving. Yes, and.
Oh, right. Good.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm just moving on. No.
Yeah.
Another thing that bothered me is just the fact that her name, the kid's name, is Enola, which is backwards for alone. It was just like way too on the nose about Kevin Costner's character, the mariner. Like, he's this loner. Like, they find dry land at the end. He's like, I belong out there on my own. It's just like, I don't know. It just bothered me. It felt a little too on the nose.
It moves different here. It moves
Yeah.
different here.
We can talk about how it ends. They eventually, find, I'm assuming, the tip of Mount Everest. They don't really say what it is, but I'm assuming that's the only
Looks
thing
like
that it could
Hawaii,
be.
though.
Yeah, it does.
It actually, Amanda pointed out, it looked like the island that they shot Castaway on. Because, there's a shot towards the end when he's like going away that it's like from up above, and you see like the perch that he tries to commit suicide on in Castaway.
Oh, interesting.
Could have been the same.
And I was like, oh, it might be.
Interesting.
So got to look into that. But yeah, let's talk about how it ends. They find the dry land. Everyone's ecstatic about it except for Kevin Costner because he wants so badly for there to be a sequel. So he leaves
Yeah.
and goes out for some reason.
But who's going to be the evil
There's always
doer
evil
in the
people.
sequel? Because the smokers
There's-
have all blown up.
Then
There's always evil
then
people,
part
that's
2
true.
will be the tokers. Like it'll just be like,
Jokers. They're all just stoned and lazy, and it's incredibly hard for
Yeah.
them to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. He just runs around and like beats them all up because he's like 65 now and can't move around as fast.
Yeah. Do you think that maybe there's a sequel still coming out? Do you think Kevin Costner's
I hope
got that
so.
one written and just waiting to press the green light?
I'd go see that opening
Yeah,
day.
he's waiting to see how the Avatar sequels go first, and then after the Avatar sequels come out.
I'd go see it opening day in the box office.
I would too. I 100% would too. I would be
I'll
right
fly out there. We can all three go see it together.
Yes!
Yeah.
I will go
Kevin,
with you
we
too
got
and then
you.
go see a different movie that's going out at the same
You'll
time.
sneak into another movie.
I'll probably be able to watch 2 movies in the span, like, because part 2 is going to be like 4.5 hours.
That's true. So should we talk acting?
Wait. So you two both got to talk about your big plot holes. My big thing that I'm like, what the hell? Like, why? Just why? Is when a giant Loch Ness monster comes out of nowhere and eats him, and then he's in it, and then he shoots it, and then they eat it.
Also,
Like, what?
why did it have to be a giant Loch Ness monster? And also, well, that's just like a water creature that has come about, in the last 400 years of.
Sure.
Yeah. Are you just
Of a
assuming
water
there's
world.
nothing in the water? Of course there's things that live in the water, dude. It's the water.
Hello, it's the water.
Yeah, duh. You ever heard of water, bro?
You guys are just
What I
You guys
think
are
is
just pull-
so funny about it is how massive that thing is, and then you're going, wait, how would you even get that onto your boat to cut a hunk of it off?
Well, I think it's more that when he shot it, it exploded into pieces, I think, and then he took some of the pieces.
he would shoot it and it would like sink.
Exactly. Can we talk about that? How was there not a giant floating pile of plastic trash anywhere that there was nothing floating anywhere in the water, anywhere in the seas?
Well, look, just because they're living in the water doesn't mean they can't be clean.
No, but I mean all the
They
shit
do
from
reduce,
the world
reuse, and recycle.
from the world that used to be that's
Oh.
now underground.
Yeah,
Yeah, like nothing comes up.
because they went and cleaned up the oceans.
Got it. Or they've just collected everything that comes up,
Yeah.
which is why they have all the
That's
trinkets on the
possible, too.
boats and all
Yes,
the things to
this is
trade.
also very possible. That was my big plot hole. The Sci-Fi Channel whale that comes out and attacks him. And I think that was, well, one of many things in this movie that made me just come to the realization that this movie is a movie that you fall asleep with the TV on, and then you wake up at 2 a.m. and it's like the Sci-Fi Channel, and it's like this $2 million movie that is just playing in the middle of the night. That's this movie, except it costs like $100 million for some reason. It's like that level of quality.
Okay, I think we should do a little switcheroo, and instead of going into acting, we should go into the technical section
Sure.
next, because that's where you're kind of going into with this. Like, how much money was spent on this. But
That
what I
works.
appreciate so much while watching this, and this is probably just again, it's like little Kai comes out to play while watching this movie. I'm just fucking stoked because I just kept thinking, like, this was all in the days of like actual props and set building and like designing a whole world in some massive lot somewhere, and like being an actor on a set like this with all the costume design and the props and the whole set design would be phenomenal. It would be so much fun, and I'm sure cost a shit ton of money.
The budget was 175 million. And opening weekend, it made 21 million,
That's a hard knife to die on.
which is not good. I will say that the technical aspects in terms of like the set deck and the set design and the costume design, I actually think is pretty great in this movie. Also, keeping in mind that they shot so much of this in the middle of the ocean. So having to build and move all these things, not to mention all the actors, not to mention all of the cameras, that's actually pretty impressive.
Didn't they shoot like a lot of it though on a backlot, even the water?
I don't know. I'm pretty sure a lot of it was.
Yeah, it's literally at Universal Studios right now. You
Right,
could go
yeah,
see it.
right, yeah, you can go see it. I just want to shout out, since we're mentioning some of these things, the production designer is Dennis Kastner, and the costume designer was John Bloomfield. Oh, I didn't write down makeup, but whoever did the makeup.
Shout out to them three. I will agree that like those three things, like there aren't really anything you could critique about it.
No, it's
Like,
so
it's-
fun.
It's so good. It's so fun. I did have a note when they are when he first gets to. Is there a name for it? The Millennium Falcon
His boat?
thing shaped. No.
Oh no, the thing the smokers are on.
No.
No, you're talking about the first like.
Yeah, where he stops and they're
to
throwing
trade,
people
where he does the
and they're throwing
trades.
people in the acid that actually doesn't do anything to you.
Yeah, they're throwing people in that, and they're also looking for someone to impregnate the girl. That whole little beat at the end was.
Oh, they do?
remember?
I thought
like
I thought they were offering a pregnant woman to him.
no.
I thought she was pregnant.
No, they're saying no because the guy basically says we need your semen because semen
That
because he's the
Because he
mariner?
is a
Yeah,
seaman.
He's a seaman. Basically they say we need your semen because we can do it with one of our own, but he's basically saying, but inbreeding,
Yeah.
we're
That's
gonna
not how
die
humans
out
work. Yeah.
eventually. Yeah,
The hills have eyes.
there you go.
The one technical aspect that I thought was pretty terrible, and I'm trying to keep in mind that this was 1995, so special effects and graphics and stuff were not what they are now. But when he takes her down in the aforementioned bubble to see the underground world, it looked so unbelievably fake. Like, it didn't even look remotely realistic.
So I agree with you that you need to look at films, especially from back then, in the context of like when it was made. And I had that thought as well, especially during that scene that you're talking about, and also the explosions of the oil rig.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
really, really
those
bad.
were bad for me too. Yeah.
But the thing is, at this point, we already had Star Wars. We already had Jurassic Park. We already had so many movies that have special effects and visual effects that still hold up to this day.
Yeah.
So why, for $175 million, could a major motion picture studio not be able to do that?
Probably because they spent that entire budget on set design and pulling all that crap out to the middle of the ocean.
100%, 100% agree, but I'm still gonna hold them to it that it should have been better for that price and the fact with the precedent of like the
because
movies
they
that we've
got
had.
to 175 million and Kevin Costner was like, but we need better special effects, and every executive producer was like, absolutely fucking not, you asshole.
Supposedly he even chipped in like 20 million of his own money toward this movie, I read.
What I was gonna say though, before you two cut me off about the set design or whatever, the Millennium Falcon reference that I was
Oh,
making
yeah, right.
was where they find Enola, the whatever.
Yeah, like that first, the market, the fair or whatever.
Yeah, whatever it is. There's a wide shot from above, like an aerial shot, and it's literally the outline of the Millennium Falcon. And I'm like, I don't know if it's paying homage to that or not, but it's clearly that shape.
Oh, it actually is?
I said I
doesn't
don't know.
No, I'm saying like I didn't even notice it was that shape.
The front gates come out, and there's like the little, and then comes out on the side, and yeah. Anyway, I had a note when he was in that market. It's just nothing feels grounded. Like the design of everything is good. And there's a lot of like meticulous like craftsmanship that went into it, but it still just feels so lifeless or like so Universal Studios-y, I guess. Like it feels like people acting on
Well,
at a theme park.
I think that goes to the sort of camp of this movie, which goes back to your sort of what the hell is the tone for this movie. Yeah.
Campy movie, whereas in the same scene they're talking about they need to sell this woman to impregnate her. Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I would agree with what you said, Trav, and with what you said, Kai. My only thing is I'm not sure that they meant for this to be campy, so that's kind of the problem.
Yeah.
Well,
It's so crazy though. Like I don't.
yeah, there is like that could be a whole debate of like, I mean, that is the whole debate. What the fuck is the tone of this movie and what did they mean it to be? Because when you have the whole smokers thing, that whole thing is campy. All of Dennis Hopper's lines are campy. He is like the quintessential like coked out 80s bad guy. I know this was 1995, but like, do you know what I mean when I say the coked out 80s bad guy? Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like all the movies from the 80s where they're like
Just like that.
just like that, and but they're evil.
Yeah.
You understand?
I'm evil.
I'm evil. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Where were we going with that? Oh, the tone. You just
The
can't.
tone, yeah.
Who the hell knows what they were going for? Because there are so many moments where they try to ground it, especially Kevin Costner tries to ground it.
Oh my
right?
gosh.
He's
the
trying to
whole
be...
movie, Kevin Costner is like, I'm getting that Oscar. I am getting that Oscar. Like that bad boy's coming.
It's worth it. It's worth it.
It's coming back to me. Like I know it. Like move over Schindler's List. I'm getting that Oscar because I think it's the same year.
Really? Oh
95, yeah. I feel like that's
God.
when Schindler's List came out. Schindler's List might have been 94, actually.
So I just also want to shout out somebody's name that I wrote down. Gene Levy is the line producer. And I just went, that's got to be a crazy job
Oh my
on
gosh.
a production like this. So like shout out to her.
It's
or
funny
him.
you bring that up.
Gene could be either way.
It's funny that you bring that up because we were watching the top billed credits in the end.
Yeah.
And Amanda's like, oh, the line producer? Like, that's not normal. Like, the line producer usually doesn't have, like, their own, like,
Was she in the top
billed-
billed
Oh,
credit?
yeah.
She was in, like, the top billed credits where it shows, like, the main people before it's the scrolling. And it's so funny you said that because Amanda was like, oh, my gosh. Like, yeah, that would have been a nightmare. A
Insanity.
nightmare.
Yeah. Shout out to Amanda, who has helped produce some of Travis's short films.
Yes.
His wife. We've probably said that in a million
Yeah.
episodes.
Yes. So, any other things about technical? Other than it's all really
I
terrible.
loved the music. Loved the music. Travis's big eye rolls just happened right now. But James New Howard, I loved your music, sir. I loved it from the beginning. I loved it all the way through. I loved it in the end.
Actually,
I loved it.
James is the only one that knew what he was doing. Like, I feel like it was consistent throughout
It
the
was
entirety
super
of the film.
universal, big Hollywood movie music, and it pulled me into the fantasy of it.
And I think this watch made me realize that just me personally, and maybe you could blame it on that I am soulless or something, but I am just not a big fan of the sweeping adventure movies. That's just me personally.
No, you
And,
know
like,
what?
and
I
it's because that
usually am not
music-
either.
That music
This
is
movie
just so...
came at a prime moment in my life as a child that I think that's the obsession with it. But no, same thing. I am not usually the adventure movie
like
type.
Indiana Jones, like all. I'm not
Oh, I
saying that
love
they-
Indiana
that,
Jones.
I'm not saying that they're not good. Indiana Jones, I 100% know that, like,
It's a good-
at least the
they're
first
great.
one,
Yeah.
they're great movies.
But will
it's
you
just
go
not
out to see
my,
them?
It's not my cup of tea.
I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Same way.
See, I love those kind of movies.
But at the same time, Back to the Future, I will rewatch over and over and over, which is like,
Yeah, me too.
huh. I wonder if it's the like.
I wouldn't really compare Back to the Future and Indiana Jones, though.
Well, Back to the Future, you could your imagination can go there because you could actually be in that adventure in the sense that like you're a kid that grew up in the city and like lives the city life, right? Indiana Jones, we're watching this guy go all around the world and do these crazy things. And like, you have to stretch a little bit further. So again, it goes back to how unimaginative you are, Travis. And if you had more of
Well,
an imagination,
it had me-
how much better your career would be.
It had me really thinking that, like, really, maybe this movie is a good movie because I was self-reflective while watching it. It made me question myself and who I am as a person. But no, I was also thinking, like, well, Star Wars, like the original trilogy is like, it's essentially a space adventure opera, right? Like a space opera adventure. I think it's great. And like, I love them to death. But it's also John Williams who like did the score, who's like one of the best composers of all time. But I feel like these other adventure movies it becomes this monotonous like score of like I
love it.
I can't do
I
it.
loved it in this actually, but I have a question for both of you.
Yep.
What were your thoughts on the editing?
I didn't notice that much, but I also, like I said, was kind of bored watching this last night, so I probably wasn't paying as much attention as I normally would have.
That's what the listeners listen to us for.
I think the
Yeah.
editor had a very, very tall task.
Agreed.
And
Yeah.
I feel as though it would be very wrong or harsh to truly critique the editing, because you bring that up and sure, there are shots where like it'll cut to a different shot and it's completely different lighting. Or like
Yeah.
it's like sunset and then it cuts to a wide and it's like noon. Like it's really bad. But I'm like, the editor possibly had that. But I will say, based off of the theatrical version that the three of us saw, the editor, I mean, you have to critique what is in front of you. And I would hope that the editor had some voice in.
I was just looking at what other things he has edited, because this is Peter Boyle, and that name sounded so familiar to me, but I couldn't figure out exactly why. But The Hours, Quills, Robin Hood, another Kevin Costner movie.
So that means
Prince of
Kevin
Thieves.
Costner edited this
This movie.
movie.
you think?
Yeah. I'm paying $20 million. I'm going to bring in the editor that I want.
I just thought of another technical issue that I had. So there's that giant boat or whatever, the barge that the smokers live on.
Yeah.
When Kevin Costner rolls up on his jet ski, it looks like a war zone on the water. And then he climbs up to beautiful blue skies. Like how high did he climb? How tall is that barge?
The
That like
clouds.
you're above all of the smoke and the clouds and stuff. Like that bothered me.
Not the perfectly placed handholds for him to climb up the
Right?
side.
Yeah.
I noticed that this time. I don't think I've ever noticed that before. That
What?
cracks me up. For the most part, I watched this movie as a child. I was not looking with a fine-tooth eye.
The other thing is, maybe it's just
I get it.
well,
Oh, no.
I
That wasn't intentional.
I was gonna say fine-tooth comb, but I
But
realized
then
as
you
I'm
went with
looking.
I for the pun. No?
Yeah, but it's not very punny because it doesn't actually make any sense. Thank you though
Okay,
for laughing.
Brian.
I'll take it.
the other thing that I found, and this I can maybe chalk up to the fact that, like, I guess maybe shoes don't exist in this world, but the fact that he's climbing up that barge with bare feet, that seems like that would hurt like a motherfucker. You might get tetanus or
Yeah.
something. That was pretty rusty.
He's got webbed feet though, and webbed feet can't get tetanus.
Is that
Yeah.
that doesn't track?
That's true.
I would
I'm
think
sure that's
fish
true.
feet are actually like, fish don't have feet. I would think fish skin. Well, he doesn't have fish skin. Huh?
See, I would just think
He
his
doesn't
feet are
have
very
scales.
calloused because he
he
never
doesn't have
wears
scales.
shoes.
He doesn't have scales. He
I
just
did
has
like
gills.
his gills though. I will say, makeup department.
Stop it.
Good on the gills.
Stop it.
When
Kai.
when they're like breathing
Kai, stop
underwater, when they're breathing underwater, and you're like, are they kissing or are they just breathing? And she's touching his gills. Is this a sexy moment or not? What's happening here? I got all squirmy.
Stop it, Kai.
Spicy.
Okay, moving on to the last category of acting.
Acting.
Brian, do you want to kick it off?
Terrible.
Brilliant. It was brilliant.
Says the
It's
actor of
all
the podcast.
So bad. There were a few moments I thought Gene Triplehorn was all right. The kid I thought was decent. Dennis Hopper is like a good bad in that I think he's trying to play into the camp a little bit. So
100%.
like I actually would consider that good, I guess. The rest of it is all pretty lousy.
It's across the board bad, other than the pig shooter.
The pig shooter was
Yeah.
great.
He was the only one that was grounded. I knew what his motivations were. I knew what he was trying to do.
Jack Black was in this movie and he's always fantastic.
He's the guy in the airplane, right?
He's like sitting in a room with Dennis Hopper and like his henchmen at one point. I don't even think he has any speaking
Oh.
lines, or if he did, I don't remember them.
Also,
thought he was the guy
that
in the plane.
plays the actor that plays Willie Lopez in Ghost was in this movie. He has 2 lines. I can't remember the 2 lines that he has, but do you guys remember the movie Ghost?
I
Yeah,
haven't
but I
seen
don't
it in a
remember
long
that.
I've seen
time.
that movie like 1,000 times. He's the
Murder.
he's the murderer.
I figured with Lopez.
Right, especially with the movie that came out
Yeah.
at that time. Yeah.
I don't even know.
So
I'm just
terrible.
like, oh, murderer. Got
Yeah,
it.
right. Well, but in this movie, he's part of the like, I'm gonna call them townspeople. He lives on the first barge that we go see, and then he ends up at the second barge after the first one has been destroyed, that they go to later after the mariner's boat is destroyed.
Got it.
Anyways, shout out to him. I liked his 2 lines. Yeah, I agree. The acting is not amazing in this movie, but I found the people that embraced either the character that they were playing, because this is full of characters, this movie, or embraced the actual language in the script. So like Dennis Hopper and all of his crazy lines were wildly entertaining for me. And the one actor that like I loved so much is the Drifter character, who is almost Robin Williams-esque.
That's the guy who tries to buy Gene Triplehorn.
Yep.
That's what I was just gonna say too.
His
him.
Well, he
weird,
wants to buy
like,
the kid at
kicking.
first. Yeah.
What?
He wants to buy the kid at
That's
first.
At
true.
first, yeah, which is creepy. But he's so. Did you guys feel Robin Williams vibes?
Yes, 100%. He also kind of looks a little like him too.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
in looks, yes, but not necessarily in acting. I took him as like so. I agree with you that he was actually really good.
Yeah.
And I wanted more of that, more of like
This is
in
kind
this
of
world.
creepy.
What are these people
Yeah.
like now?
Right.
Because like everyone is like acting normal.
And it's the only
for the
time
most part.
actually when Kevin Costner felt grounded in a good way in the movie to me too, is his interaction with that guy. When the guy's kind of talking to himself but asking Kevin Costner for things before he's actually gotten on board of Kevin Costner's boat. And he says, I don't know, he's talking to himself and Kevin Costner goes, "You've been out on the seas a long time, haven't you?" And it's like, that was probably his best line of the movie, because this interaction felt real in that world.
I would say Kevin Costner is pretty grounded the entirety of the film.
No, I
He
know,
was
I'm
just
saying-
grounded in his own world.
That's
and
what I'm
like
saying. This
the
is the
world
only
that
time
he's
it
grounded in.
matched the
Yeah.
world. Yeah.
The world that he's grounded in, which is like essentially he's acting as if he's in Mad Max.
Yeah.
Right? Which that's what this
mean,
movie
this
is.
movie
This
is
movie is
Mad
Mad
Max
Max
on the
on
water.
water.
Yeah,
It even
100%.
has the guy from Mad Max Fury Road in it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I feel as though that's how Kevin Costner like approached it. He's like, I am Mel Gibson's character. I am Max. And everyone else was like, no, we're making, you know, like, what's the kid that flies around with the little fairy thing? And they go to Neverland?
Peter Pan?
Yeah,
Oh.
we're making Peter Pan. I was like, clearly I did not watch a lot of kids' movies growing up. But that's the action adventure style that I feel like the rest of the film was aiming for. But Kevin Costner and like the drug addict guy or like the cracked out guy was in Mad Max. Which brings me to another point now that I think about it, and I should have brought it up in plot. One of the most infuriating things about Kevin Costner's role is that there's no like his arc is essentially that like he's a loner and then he realizes that actually there's good in him and he wants to help these people, but then he's a loner again. So I guess he doesn't grow.
Well,
I guess he grows in the fact that like he
starts
becomes
out
selfless.
as like this anti-hero, and then we're like, but is he a hero?
Full circle, baby.
He's an anti-hero. He's a hero?
Yeah.
He's a hero? And then in the end, he is a hero. He's just also a loner. This movie was all about a man's journey to find himself.
Yeah, that should have been the
Yeah.
tagline.
Oh gosh.
It should have been. Maybe it is. It's like except for it's a non-man's journey to find
Point
himself.
being-
a fishman's
That's
journey
true.
to
A
find
muto.
A muto's.
A muto.
Yeah. a
Point
muto's
being,
journey to
I
find
clocked
himself.
it. There's about 15 minutes in between him throwing the kid off the boat to teaching the kid how to swim. Like that, like it's such a forced, like, all right, he's good now. And I'm like, you were literally selling them like a scene ago.
Yeah.
Like you were ready
But he
to
did
like
change his
have
mind
her-
mid-cell,
in this
though.
version, we don't know if there
You were
was
ready-
an hour in between those.
You
two
were ready to
seasons.
have her get raped on your boat. And like now I'm supposed to like be happy that you're underwater with this kid, like teaching her how to swim.
Yeah,
And I'm like, no, like I don't care about this guy.
people can
I don't-
change, Travis.
Not it.
Redemption
Yeah,
is
duh.
a thing.
This is an 8-day journey to begin with. Like it's supposed to be 8 days to dry land wherever they're going. I'm assuming
Wait.
that's the time frame that I'm thinking. What?
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Where did you get that number?
Because he was like, we only have water. We only have enough water for 2 people for 8 days, and like, then
Where the fuck does he come up with that number then? Because at that point he just thinks dry land is underwater.
you're asking questions that the screenwriter didn't ask.
Also, I didn't understand, like, the very first scene is him turning his urine into drinkable water. So clearly he can...
Yeah, but then that contraption breaks.
No, but he says that before the contraption breaks, though.
No,
He says we only have enough water for 2 people earlier in the movie.
no, he like literally 2 sentences before he like points to I think it's called like a H2O dilator or something.
The urinator
Yeah.
3000.
Hydrourination 2020.
Yeah. He looked over at the magic urine blade and like
Oh.
was like, it's broken. I can't do anything about that now. And we
Oh, I
only
missed that
have
one.
I missed that too.
and we only have water for 2 people, so
Since
we got to
we're
throw the kid off.
Talking about items on his boat, the one thing that I did not appreciate design-wise, it was my one pet peeve in the movie. Okay, not one, but it was a pet peeve, or a what do you call them?
Nitpick?
A nitpick, not a
Nitpick.
pet peeve. It was a nitpick. Was the lime tree has like maple leaves on it?
The ones that he's eating too,
The-
like the
yeah,
leaves that he's eating.
and I'm like,
yeah.
that's not what citrus leaves look like, but those are clearly limes. If it had been some form of tree I'd never seen before that maybe I believed grew on the ocean. No, that doesn't make sense.
This whole movie is a nitpick for me, but why on earth? Why God
on
oh
water,
why?
earth?
Yes. Why
Mhm.
does he gurgle his pee in the beginning? I get that he changes his pee into water, but he has to
The
drink
man
it and then he's like,
doesn't have a
"Oh."
toothbrush, okay? And urine's
So what?
actually
Yeah.
quite
Water
good
now
for
cleans your
you.
teeth in this world?
He just
Yeah.
no, but it might help to swash a little around if your breath smells rank from multiple days on the ocean.
Also, why is he peeing into this contraption? Can this contraption not desalinate the salt water that like is abundantly
Yeah, but
everywhere?
you don't waste good urine, Travis.
Yeah.
You do when the whole world is water
Do
and you
you
have a
know
contraption
that urine
that
is
filters
actually
water.
quite good for you to drink? And if you have a cold or a flu, you should drink a cup every morning, and because you're peeing out
This
your
sounds like
antibodies
speaking from experience,
and
which is scary.
drinking them. Oh, we could have a whole conversation, Brian,
Please,
but
listeners,
I
do
won't go
not
into
listen to
this with you.
that. That is not true.
Actually, I have a podcast you could listen to from my friend Davina, who does this thing on a regular. Oh my God, your eyes right now are bulging out.
Well,
of your
urine
eyes.
is full of so many toxins that your liver is pushing.
No. You should read about it. Okay, we should.
No, I went to college. Like, I don't need to read about why we shouldn't drink our urine. There's a reason our body is getting rid of these things.
But it also it pushes out all of the like added extra antibodies that our body is creating while we're sick, like to fight it, and so you can drink your urine. I'll send you some information. I'm not saying I do this.
And is this
Have I
like,
tried it? Yes. Do I do this? No. You're both. So let's just move on. We're talking about Waterworld.
So
here.
anyway, my only nitpick is the one that I mentioned earlier, where he gets shot and then basically miraculously recovers in about 3 minutes. That's my only nitpick.
cool?
Travis is still dumbfounded.
Yeah, I think you broke his brain.
I think
think I
I think
did.
Brian is too. He's just not
I
showing
think
it
he
as
is
much.
like not excited about the fact that I'm sitting in his home right now. He's like, this person across from me has drank her own urine. Get
Yeah.
out now.
I mean, this is the season finale, so we could take a few months from seeing each other.
Speaking of, I live right next to you. We work for the same company. Speaking of season finale, I just want to say several times on this episode, twice actually, I mentioned how you are unimaginative and your career is going nowhere. And I just want to say those were jokes, and I love you, and I think your career is going to skyrocket, especially after this wonderful podcast that we have put on. And Brian, I love you too.
Right
it's
back
been
at
so
ya.
good working with you these last couple months.
Likewise, this has been an enjoyable journey. And in a few weeks, we actually get to meet in person for the first time.
Hey.
This is very true.
Yeah.
And I just want to put it out there to everyone. You can still drink urine and be accepted as I just have been right now. So
this
do
episode
you.
might
Be
actually
you.
be flagged and removed from all podcasting sites due to fake news being spread.
Clearly,
Anyway,
the news
but-
media doesn't care about spreading fake news, so we'll be fine.
This is
I
very
think
true.
so.
Going off of what Kai said, thank you. We've been working on this podcast for probably more than a year now. Definitely more than a year now. And the listeners definitely don't know that, or well, they do now. And I still on a day-to-day basis try to figure out if you two like me or not. So it's great to hear that.
Trav, we love you. We don't give a hard
We
time to
love you
people we
so
don't
much.
like.
Yeah, that's actually true. If
Yeah.
I'm giving you shit, you should
Hmm
feel good about it.
That's true.
The problem is that I don't ever know when you two are being serious then. So then I must take everything
I'm literally
seriously.
never.
No, I know
serious.
you more. I know you usually just don't give a shit at all.
I sometimes do. So I'm
But Kai
confusing.
sometimes flips it on and is like super serious about things. And I'm like,
You're just
she
joking
hates me.
right?
Like, she totally hates me and this podcast and everything we're doing. Like,
I love it so much. I wouldn't keep coming back.
but we would be nowhere.
I would
With-
throw urine at your door because it also makes a great weapon because it
That's true.
stings your eyes.
Mhm.
No, now I'm just going out. I'm sorry. We would be continue.
I was
Go
going to
for it.
say we would not be anywhere without all of you fine listeners out there.
All 10 of you.
Yeah.
This has been
the top 10.
Yeah. Our MySpace top
Yep.
10.
Wasn't
Oh
it
my
a top
God,
8?
That was a thing.
Was it top 8? It was top 8. Fuck. I'm dumb.
Top 10 was Friendster.
You're not.
I was never
It's
on
okay.
Friendster.
No.
Stop lying, Brian. You knew
No,
you
I
were
swear to
Friendster.
God, 100% was never on Friendster.
You were on
Was Friendster before
It was
MySpace?
before MySpace, yeah.
Never did it.
And I'm trying to thank the.
Listeners,
This
thank
is like
you,
my third
listeners.
time
Yeah,
trying to
go-
thank the
go.
listeners for this season, and you two just keep talking about urine and other stuff.
We went from the sharding episode of the podcast to talking about urine in this one, probably both brought up by me.
Well, the sharding episode for the
'cause I
listeners
have a
was
potty
like
mouth.
almost 2 months ago now. So,
I'm just saying, we've
No,
talked
yeah,
about
yeah.
both things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've grown. You're right.
Anyway, Travis, continue.
and we could not have grown. We could not have grown without you, listeners out there, for sticking
applause.
through all of. For sticking through all of our technical mishaps this season, for sticking through Kai's
Sweating.
Yes, I was gonna say
Hormonal heat strokes.
I was gonna say hot flashes, but sure, yes.
That old.
And yeah, for also tuning in each week and also sharing and telling people about it. We are really excited for season 2 when that does come out, but we are going to be taking a break for the next 2 months, and then we will be back with a new season with new movies. So hopefully we'll be able to interact with you on social media during these holiday times. And yeah, do you two have anything that you want to add to the listeners?
I'm just going to say ditto.
Yeah, ditto. I just want to say I'm very sad right now that it's not still Halloween time, so I can't make noises. Ooh.
That was literally over 2 months ago.
Yeah,
now.
but it's so fun.
I know. It's so fun. I just felt like we were going out with a bang, so I needed to make a noise, but nothing was coming except for ghost sounds to my head. So
yes, tune in for season 2.
happy
in
holidays.
2
And
months.
New Year.
And yes, everyone please have a very happy holidays and a happy new year. I don't think any of us changed our verdict on this
Nope.
movie.
No. Can we make
To wrap things up.
firework noises? Bing, pew, pew.
stick to the ghost noises.
Again, thank you so much for listening to this season of Good, Bad, Bad, Good. You could find us on all social media platforms at goodbad_badgood. You can find me on all social media platforms at Travis_Orozco. You could find Brian at
Bossip on the social media platform known as Instagram.
And Kailena at
Kailena Mai on the gram.
Booyah. I'll let you have it this time.
Thank you.
Until next season when we watch a lot more movies.
Yahoo.
Love you, miss
also,
you, bye.
let us know if there's one we should watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, we might not listen, but
please.
we appreciate the suggestions.
Yeah. I totally already have a complete list of what we're doing next season. But sure, send in your suggestions. I will see if they fit. Until next time.
Love you, miss you,
Bye.
Good, Bad, Bad, Good is an Ex Nihilo production. Original theme music and sound engineering done by Jen Star Hacker. Find her at hackersoundmusic.com. Opinions expressed are solely that of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect the views of any entity they represent.